Plastic parts, pieces, and connectors on old vehicles will be fragile and brittle. Use caution when manipulating. Not responsible for broken parts. Set your parking brake, chock your wheel for safety. I had this problem where my air temperature control was not working properly on my 2003 Tacoma. It seems to have a mind of its own. It could blow full hot or full cool, no matter which position this dial was on. The module that controls the air blend is located in the left side of the passenger's side footwell. Most of the time it's this module that fails, but this wasn't the case for me. First, let's take a look at how it functions. Here is the zoom in shot for perspective. There are 3 screws holding it in. Use a stubby Phillips to remove them. I remind you, this was not the part that was causing the issue, but it's a common part to change out when this problem pops up. I'm only taking it apart to demonstrate the problem. I partially unscrew them and do the rest by hand so it doesn't just fall out while I'm unscrewing. There's an extremely detailed video explaining the functions of this module by another YouTuber. Link in the description. This screw here is to hold this wire bracket in place. You may need to remove it to transfer the bracket to another module. Note the position of the arm when you remove it, as it needs to be in the same position when you reinstall it. Never try to move the arm itself, as you will break the plastic gears inside. If you must, adjust the metal track lever by hand it was on instead. I usually set it to full cold before removing, and it will be in this position here. Usually when these fail, it will go to either full hot or full cold. Just be mindful of the position when taking it off and putting it back on. Here's a demo of the problem and how this arm moves in relation to the dial position. Keep in mind, this is a brand new module I had just installed. On full hot, it moves clockwise and stops at this position around 10 o'clock in this view. When I turn the dial halfway, the arm should go to the 9 o'clock position, but it's not moving at all. I turn it a little cooler, but it's still not moving. It's still stuck on full hot. Only when I moved it to full cold does it adjust itself to full cold, which is the 8 o'clock position in this view. Here is where I found the actual cause of this problem for this instance. The problem shows up when I wiggle the temperature knob itself. Here it's still in the full cold position, but the arm is moving itself. Some more wiggling and the arm is moving itself to full hot while the dial is on full cold. Wiggle it again and now it's going back to full cold. The problem I had was the dial and not the blend module. To get to the part of the dial we need to fix, we must pull the radial bezel apart. Refer to my full video on how to take apart the bezel if you need to. Link is in the description. Here's a condensed version of the video. Once you get the bezel off, you must take off 3 Phillips screws to remove the module with the dials. Pull the module up and out, then disconnect these 2 plugs. To get into the circuit board, take off the 3 small Phillips screws. Squeeze this section here to free it from the clips. On the other side, release this clip by carefully pulling it up. Then squeeze this section to get the cover off. Carefully pull the ribbon cable off of the connector. It's held on by friction. The problem for me turned out to be this section of solder that probably went bad due to vibration or just age. It needs to be reflowed. Using your soldering iron, carefully touch each solder point until the solder flows so that it can make good contact again. Be careful not to short the contact points. Here's a close-up of the solder being reflowed successfully. Reassembly is the opposite of the disassembly. Push the ribbon cable back in carefully. Close up the cover and put the 3 Phillips screws back on. Install it back into the dash. Now, let's take a look at how it behaves. I turned it to the midway point and the arm moves approximately halfway. Full hot moves it to the 10 o'clock position correctly. Back to the midpoint. Now notice the small increments towards the cooler side. The arm moves in the appropriate increments towards the cool side. Back to full hot. Then the midpoint. The arm is now moving properly. Now let's wiggle it a bit to see if there's any unwanted adjustments. It's holding steady as it should. Finally, I move it back to full cold and move it incrementally warm. The arm follows appropriately. My cabin can be comfortable again. So before you go change out the blend module, wiggle your dial to see if it might be the problem instead.